What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so there has been an update in this situation involving Kyren Lacy. You may recall Kyren Lacy was the LSU football star who perhaps seemed destined for greatness on the gridiron in the NFL. The NFL draft was coming up. There was high expectations for him. Unfortunately, a series of tragic events led to him, sadly and tragically, taking his own life at the age of just 24 earlier this year. There was a December, 2024 vehicular accident in which authorities, state police, claimed that he was responsible for a person losing their life in a fatal car crash. However, his attorney has come out and said that he has the video and visual evidence to clear Lacy. And his allegations seem to put the guilt and the blame on a on-site police officer who told witnesses to lie and say that Lacy was involved with the accident. The December 2024 crash that unalived 78-year-old Herman Hall was initially attributed to Kyren Lacy, with Louisiana State Police saying he recklessly passed multiple vehicles and caused a chain reaction. Authorities claimed Lacy's passing forced another driver to stop suddenly and swerve, leading to the fatal collision. Lacy was charged in January with negligent homicide, felony hit and run, and reckless operation of a vehicle. On April 12th, days before he was due to appear before a grand jury, Lacy unfortunately took his own life, leaving the case unresolved. Lacy's attorney, Matthew Ory, has firmly disputed the official account after reviewing surveillance and police body cam footage. In a 44-minute interview with HTV's Martin Foles, Ory said video shows Lacy about 72.6 yards behind the collision at impact. And this is him speaking on this situation right here.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Well, yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that. Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards. Back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles. That is not how this story was ever painted. Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter, their investigations. And in that investigation.
So there you have it right there. What's interesting is that he would go on to reveal that an on-site police officer told witnesses to lie and say that Macy's vehicle was involved in the crash. So they pinpointed Macy. For whatever reason, you give me why you think that's the case. And according to records or the investigation, at least the information has been put out there, they never bothered to ask the witness of this whole situation, which one of the witnesses would happen to be the passenger in Lacey's vehicle at that time. They never bothered to ask her, well, I'm assuming it was a female, it might be a male, but to ask their opinion on what happened. So you tell me you have an officer that tells witnesses to lie and go along with the story that Lacy was at fault, and you choose not to even bother to ask the opinion of the passenger of Lacy as far as what happened when you're doing your report. That tells me that there was already an agenda there, and it was to, excuse my language, it was to fuck over Kyren Lacy. I also find it interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that when this story first happened, sensationalist websites like TMZ and others had his face plastered all over it. Plastered. They love to do that. People like, Lacy and Jonathan Majors. But whenever something like this occurs where the person is exonerated, you don't see the same energy from TMZ. You don't see the same energy from these other sites when somebody like us is exonerated from horrible allegations. You don't see it. And let's get to the heart of this matter. A young man who worked so hard for a dream felt his life shatter behind something he did not have anything to do with. He was scapegoated. Kind of like what they did to us in Jim Crow. They ruined his fucking life. And people can say, well, if he was innocent, then what do you have to worry about? What the fuck are you talking about? He's going to have to go to trial. And knowing how racist the criminal injustice system is, and they're going to want somebody to pay, right? And we've seen instances where the evidence says that somebody is innocent, but somehow the grand jury and the judge decide otherwise. So this young man who knew in his heart that he had nothing to do with this situation felt that his life was unrivaling. His goals, the dream of going to the NFL was snatched from him. And in his despair, in his anguish, in his depression, he took his own life at just 24 years of age. There'll be no memorials held for him. Nobody's going to make him out to be a martyr. Nobody's going to want justice for what happened to him. You think anything's going to happen to that police officer who told everybody on the scene to lie? Not a goddamn thing's going to happen. We know it. Nothing's going to happen. I just had somebody in my comment section message me, if you think that a black man's going to get the same justice or have the same rights as a white man in this country, there's something mentally wrong with you. Well, if that's the attitude that we have, we might as well go back to slavery. We might as well put our hands behind our backs or put our hands in front of us, let them put the shackles back on and just be slaves. If that's the attitude that we collectively had, 'cause I saw the thumbs up, we ain't nothing. We ain't shit then. We might as well be fucking slaves. I'll never be. They have to put one in my head because I'm not going to sit up here and accept second-class citizenship. I never will. Even if it is just a dream to be free, like Martin Luther King. I think this is screwed up, man. What happened to this man? But unfortunately, we see this all the time. Tell me what you guys think.